The first place where the DAOs really started popping up was DeFi, decentralized finance. There's new types of protocols. They're swapping, they are creating liquidity and getting dividends and this and that. And that turned out to be a big deal. SushiSwap, Aave, Compound, Maker. Maker is the protocol minting the stable coin called DAI. And it's a really great example. Like DAI's value is always $1. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. So essentially a digital dollar, which is circulated, right? You can get DAI like you are getting dollars. You can buy other stuff with it, like heavily used and in circulation across many blockchains. But they also issued another one called Maker token, and Maker token is their governance token. So essentially, people who all hold Maker have certain rights and privileges in this Maker DAO. And what happens is DAI, like the protocol gets a piece of every DAI transaction. If someone uses DAI, a piece of that, small amounts, probably cents, maybe less than a cent, goes into the Maker DAO's treasury. And then the Maker token holders, the governance token holders, actually have a claim on that. And that treasury got so big. I don't know what it is right now, but at some point, one Maker token was worth over $1,000. Just because the Maker DAO did so well, died it so well, and people started trading their Maker token, right? I mean, one person goes and buys Maker tokens from someone else. Now I'm part of that DAO, right? The other person dropped out. I bought their tokens. Now I'm part of the Maker DAO. So then there are grant DAOs. These are essentially DAOs which give grants to projects, typically in the crypto space. And one of them is this famous Moloch DAO. Lots of satanic stuff. This is like a really cool group of people, right? They have open source. They essentially anybody can go and see the code running their smart contract. What's important to them: security, usability, extensibility. One thing the DAOs do, like they are very inclusive. They want people get engaged, right? It's not like this is fascinating. Maybe a group of people, few developers wrote the Moloch source code, right? But many others jump in and start improving that code, becomes a communal work, right? I mean, open source has been around for a while and has proven itself, right? It's a valid way of developing software. But in DAOs, it's really sort of, in crypto in general, it's really just going to a different level. I mean, so they talk about minimally viable DAO. So like that's the other thing. DAOs are evolving so fast. So and things are changing so fast. So people are trying to come up with the most crucial capabilities and build minimally viable products and put them out there so that they get their DAOs in circulation as fast as possible, but also taking with the minimum risk possible too, because anything gets more and more complex, also potentially has more vulnerabilities, right? And then let the community sort of take over and start developing it, adding new features, extending it. Then, of course, through the voting mechanisms, decide whether those changes and updates should be deployed in production or not. It's not a company, like, there we go. It's a DAO, but it's not, they don't consider themselves as a company. They don't have investors, right? It's a community owned and community, developed, built, so essential organization. Yeah, like, so they are saying they do not cater to speculators. So they are saying their tokens are not pump and dump tokens. So they are holding their tokens very tightly because they are not seen as a financial speculative tool. And they don't have an official voice. They don't have a CEO. Like, just think about this. Like, this sounds so different than any other organization out there, right? Almost opposite. You go to any organization nowadays and say you're not going to have a CEO, you're not going to be a company, you're not going to be investors, and it will be hard to sell this, but these guys are doing it. So you can apply for funding And like so, essentially, people can go apply for funding to Moloch. You have a project idea, and then you submit a project. If they like your project, and when I say they, I mean the community, right? Then they might grant you the resources, financial resources, to build that project. And if that project is successful, that's eventually going to benefit the DAO. There must be some sort of a revenue stream back to Moloch, and that goes to the members of the DAO. Let's go to the next one, social DAOs. I mean, there are a bunch of them, and these are communities essentially. I mean, makes so much sense, right? Turning those communities into DAOs. Friends with benefits, like let's go and look at that. Look at their manifesto. So you're saying, Friends with Benefits is the intersection of our favorite technology and cultural communities. That let's take the Web3 technologies and marry them with communities. Everyone in the group has shared skin in the game. And a claim on the DAO, but also have responsibilities and you are accountable. And what they do is they set their own rules. Like I mean, they look at this. They like it's really interesting. All these DAOs, like they love to list their values. I mean, they're just very value-driven organizations, whether it's finance, grants or social. I mean, they all have manifestos telling what they stand for. I mean, people love this. They look at it, they say, that's my DAO, I'm going to join, and they jump in. And they do a lot of work voluntarily. I mean, they're not getting paid. They feel part of it. And what they do is their work is rewarded as tokens. And those tokens might not be worth anything, might be worth a lot down the road. Like we just don't know. But people do it. A collector DAO. That's an interesting one. So there are apparently 10 to 15 copies of the Constitution, but there was one which came out to an auction. A group of people started a DAO to raise money to buy the Constitution. So, and they did amazingly well. So they raised a lot of money, and here it talks about the story. Oh yeah, 2021. There are all these wealthy individuals with deep pockets going to those auctions, and then there's like a DAO full of people with small amounts of money. They contribute to this DAO to buy that constitution, and the plan was to buy that constitution and store it. But what happens is that they did not get it. So now what they are doing is that they are basically giving people back their money. Venture capital and investments DAOs. This is fairly new. They say the Silicon Valley VC model is over. People say this DAO model is going to take over. There was this syndicate model which has been going on for a while, which raised money through thousands of small investors, and then they invest those into a variety of early stage startups. So this syndicate concept has done really well, and AngelList proved it. But even then, AngelList sits in the middle, right? And AngelList makes all the calls. Naval, Srikanth is a brilliant guy, but he is controlling everything. So now they are saying, like, let's go and start building these new investment mechanisms where people can, put their money into the DAO to be invested in startups and so on and so forth. But they also have a say when you give your money to a VC or a limited partner, i.e., you give the money, then they tell you to go away, right? They don't need you anymore, and they will let you know how the company is dead 5, 6, 7 years later, right? These guys are saying, let's make this much more inclusive. You are not just investor, you're also, maybe a mentor, maybe a board member, advisor, whatever else. So this is Global Coin Research, is a tokenized, decentralized community of learners and investors in Web3. It's like they invested 31 million. That's a decent amount of money. When I read this thing and I say, okay, this is not terribly decentralized, right? They are talking about the team, like, or using third parties to get deal flow. These are not binaries, these are all spectrums. There are all kinds of flavors of DAO. Some of them are super decentralized. All members are equal, and in some cases are not. And in this case, there is some sort of a central control of the deal flow, which probably makes a lot of sense. But again, it's much more inclusive than other VCs. And then there are entertainment DAOs, gaming and all that stuff is entertainment DAOs. Again, some of these categories are also a bit blurry, overlapping, because DAO notion is really shifting around. Not every DAO fits in a category perfectly. Then there are media DAOs. Bankless is a company. I'm founded by two guys, and they turned their podcast into it's a serious media organization. They actually eat their own dog food, and they were just really preaching all this crypto concepts. And they started actually implementing them in their own media organization, and they turned their media organization into a DAO. Very hands-on. They're practicing it. Whatever they talk about in their podcast, they go and do it. Whether it's DeFi, whether it's DAOs, whether metaverses, NFTs, they do it. And then, of course, social media, needless to say. There are Twitter and Facebook killers in the crypto space, and they are going to actually have people own their own data and participate in this social media protocols, and they are going to have much more the skin in the game, ownership and participation and all that. They are not all DAOs, but there are so many types of social media startups in the crypto space. It's really fascinating.